So you saw this high drama in Lok Sabha as Union Home Minister Amit Shah tabled the 130th Amendment Bill. Papers were flung at him. They were torn. Opposition leaders rushed into the well of the House. BJP MPs had to physically form a human shield around Amit Shah. Opposition leaders, meanwhile, allege that BJP MPs misbehaved with opposition MPs, and including some women MPs of the Trinamool Congress. So the battle, as you saw, was really intense. But is this a bill to clean governance, or is this draconian? Is this anti-democracy? Joining me on India First is Syed Zafar Islam, national spokesperson of the BJP. Advocate Arshdeep Kadyal represents the Congress party, national spokesperson of the Congress. Kapil Madan will give us legal perspective. He joins us. He's a Supreme Court advocate, as is Jai Anant Dehadrai, both practicing advocates in the Supreme Court. Deshratan Nigam is not only a political analyst, but also an advocate. So we have a political panel, we have a legal panel to get you both sides of the story. Arshdeep Kadyal, why oppose the bill that aims to bring clean governance according to the government and that seeks to automatically remove leaders after 30 days? If they've been in jail for more than 30 days, facing serious charges, why oppose this bill?
Thank you for the question. First and foremost, the bill is undemocratic and unconstitutional at the face of it. It is against the separation of powers, and the Bharatiya Janata Party has tried to convert India into a police state. First and foremost, the timing. Look at the timing of it. They introduced this when there were only 2 days left for the session to get over, so that there is less criticism, there is less opposition. Number two, we've all seen how the Bharatiya Janata Party is accustomed to misusing the agencies, the IT, the ED, the CBI, and how 95% of the opposition parties have been targeted. So basically, when if they register a false case against the opposition leader, he would be removed from the office. A person that has been put into the office by the mandate of the people, by the vote of the people, how can it be removed from the office at the whims and fancies of the Bharatiya Janata Party? Number two, it is not for the Bharatiya Janata Party to be the judge, jury and executioner. It is not for you to decide. It is for the judiciary to decide. And number two, there is a procedure. Now, one question is to the Bharatiya Janata Party. Let's say that...
let's take this step by step. You've raised three very pertinent points. Let's take this step by step. You've raised very pertinent points. Timing you've raised. No, timing. Timing is important. You've raised timing, converting India into a police state. And three, BJP cannot decide when people have elected a leader, how can BJP remove them? So 3 points you've raised. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Syed Zafar Islam, let him answer these three. I'm coming back to you for a second time. Let's quickly move. There's 5 points you'll give me, and then he'll respond for 5 minutes. Syed Zafar Islam, respond to these 3 specific points that are being made. In fact, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra says this bill is draconian. You'll put any kind of a case on any chief minister, have the chief minister arrested for 30 days without conviction. It's unconstitutional, undemocratic, unfortunate. Respond even on the timing, sir.
First of all, those political parties who do not want crime and criminals to be cleaned or go out of the political system are the ones who will make hue and cry, and Congress party happens to be the one of them. And all the opposition parties, in fact, put together, they do not want to clean the system. In fact, the Honorable Prime Minister has always advocated that there is no place for criminals in political space, and this is one initiative where the criminals will be out of the political system. Having said that, they have the redressal. They can go back to, if they have committed, first they have committed crime, and if they have committed crime, if they are put behind the bar, then they have the recourse, go to court, session court, or High Court or Supreme Court, and get the bail. If they are able to get the bail within 30 days, they can continue to be what they are, whether it's a CM or a minister or the Prime Minister. But if they do not get on the 31st day, then obviously, automatically they'll be removed from the position, purely because the people of India wants that criminal should be kept out of the political system, and people of India will appreciate this initiative because they want that. They feel, a common man on the street always feels that political आदमी को हाथ नहीं लगा सकते. But this bill will ensure that a common man on the street will say that there is a law for everyone, be it Prime Minister,
Okay.
be it Chief Minister, be it the
One
Minister,
question, please,
or
just
be
one
it anybody. But
Kapil Madan,
the law is
Kapil
the
Madan,
law
just
for
one
does
second.
everyone.
this,
Gaurav, just
And
one
now
does
says,
this answer the question? Sir,
last sentence. They can come back even if 31st day they don't get the bail. Then if they get the bail after 2 months, like for instance, I'll give you one example. Hemant Soren, he got the bail. He resigned before he went to the jail, and after he came back after 3-4 months, he again became Chief Minister of.
Okay,
Whatever person
Ashdeep
is
Kadyal, you want to
acquitted.
quickly respond to
But
this?
this
Kapil
bill
Madan
is
wants to come in, but
primarily
go on.
because of
Sir,
because
quickly,
of
we have to keep
because
moving quickly on a
of,
very important point because we've
because
got
of
guests we have to
AAP
go.
convener.
Fair enough.
number
Couple,
one,
quickly,
Kejriwal,
Ashdeep
had
Kadyal.
Thank
Kejriwal
you.
not done
So
it,
let's say a
had
person has been
Kejriwal
removed from the
not
office.
resigned, had
Let's say a
Kejriwal
person
resigned
has
at
been
that time,
removed from the
this
office
will work.
and
No, I'm saying,
subsequently he is found innocent during
I'm
investigation.
saying that
What then? If a person is acquitted, what then? My question to the Bharatiya Janata Party is this. Please listen to it. It's a very important
he can
question.
come back.
Let's say you have removed someone from
He
the
can
office.
come back and join if court gives
After
him.
that, during
No,
investigation, that person
no,
is found
I do
innocent.
not remove.
What then?
It
If a
is the
person is
law of the
acquitted,
land.
what then?
It
Will
is
you
the law of the
apologize?
land which will
Will you
ensure that he is
apologize
out
for
of the
anything?
political
How can
system
you
and
assume the role of
ensure that
judiciary? You are
he
not the
gets some
court. It is
comfort
not for you
or
to decide.
relief from the
Principle of
court.
Okay.
natural justice.
The
Please
court
read
has
what the
to
principle of
decide,
natural
not
justice
Bharatiya
says.
Janata
It
Party
says
or the
innocent
government.
until proven guilty. It is not the other way around. It is not
Let
guilty
me
until proven
let me
innocent.
bring in
Let me
legal
remind him
Innocent
voices.
this. He
until
is an
proven
Let me
advocate.
bring
innocent.
in legal
It is not
voices.
for you to dictate. It
He
is
is an
not for you to
advocate. Let me
dictate
remind him
who is
one thing.
guilty and who is
He is an
not. And as
advocate.
far as criminals
Gaurav,
are
he is an
concerned,
advocate. Let me
as
ask
per
him one
ADR,
question.
Association of
Kapil
Democratic
Madan, let me
Reform,
ask you.
Bharatiya
Kapil
Janata Party
Madan,
has the maximum number of
no.
elected leaders
No,
with
no,
criminal
whoever
cases.
Ashparit
Then you
So,
against
Kadyal,
them.
let me ask
both
you
of
one
Do
you
not give us
question.
speaking
lectures.
No,
simultaneously.
we do
Number
not
two,
Gentlemen,
fight. Let me
my
ask one
gentlemen,
question
question.
is,
nobody will be
what
able
are
to
we
hear
suppressing?
a word. So can I just bring in Jay Anand Dehadrai and Kapil Madan for a legal perspective? Jay, Manish Tiwari has called this bill squarely destructive. Indian Constitution, he rightly points out, says there should be rule of law and that you're innocent until proven guilty. This bill will change that. It will make the executive agency, the CBI, the ED, they'll become the bosses of the political masters, including the Prime Minister.
I got a good evening.
Jay.
I very respectfully disagree with Manish Tiwari. He's a very fine lawyer, but I think he's gotten it completely wrong this time, and I'll tell you why very precisely. This constitutional amendment essentially seeks to tweak the conditions of appointment of three provisions of the Constitution. So you have 75, you have the equivalent 164 for the Council of Ministers, and then for Delhi,
Yes.
the special provision 239AA. Now, all it says is to preserve good governance and to ensure that there is no difficulty in executive day-to-day management. For that purpose alone, if a person is taken into custody, if it is a serious offense, one at least 5 years or more, then after the 30th day of incarceration, the person automatically has to step aside. And I think this was needed. There was a massive constitutional vacuum. This provision was not there in our constitution. And it's a very good thing that it has come. I don't for the life of me understand why anyone should oppose it, for the reason that our judiciary, all of us agree, whether we're on no matter which side of the political spectrum we might be, that our judiciary is absolutely independent. It has unimpeachable integrity. So now two things very quickly. One, bail is always available to a person who has been incarcerated, no matter what the offense is, number one. Number two, there is another very important provision, which is quashing in the old CRPC 482, in the new one 528. And you always have, if it is a bogus case, and I quite agree with my friend who's appearing, the very eloquent speaker from the Congress party. If it is a bogus case that the ED has filed, and yes, the ED has a rather dismal rate of conviction.
That's
if it
the
is a
point I was
bogus
coming to,
case,
sir. Yeah.
if it has a bogus, Gaurav, if it's a bogus case, anybody is free to go to the courts, to a constitutional court and say that, look, quash the case, it is bogus.
But
What has
sir,
it
there are
got to
times when
do?
process becomes the
Gaurav,
punishment.
That's
Process
right.
can I
is the
just-
punishment. You
No,
end
no,
up being
there's a
in jail
proviso.
for more than
I just
30
want to add
days.
one thing. Gaurav, may I just add one thing with your permission very quickly? There is a
Go ahead, sir.
proviso, very important proviso to the constitutional amendment that I think you alluded to as well, in fact, when you opened the segment, and you pointed out to it. You said, look, the moment you come out, you get your bail, nothing prevents you from coming back and holding that position again. So I don't see anything particularly dastardly or sinister with this amendment. It is only to ensure that a Kejriwal-like situation doesn't arise again. The national capital is going to the dogs. The chief minister is sitting in prison, can't sign files. The entire citizenry of Delhi was suffering at that time. And I want to give you one quick example. Senthil Balaji from Tamil Nadu. Supreme Court said, look, you can come back once you've sort of, you've gotten your bail, or you resign when he had to go back and his bail was taken away.
Fair
So
enough.
you have precedent in place for it.
So, Kapil Madan, respond. There's a vacuum, and that vacuum is now being filled. According to Jay, there's nothing sinister in the government's attempt.
So, Gaurav, allow me to say, and, I will say it with, utmost humility and, respect for my good friend, Jay Anand, that today his, opening statement looks like, half facts and full fiction. And allow me to give the reasons, logical reasons why I say so. If you look at the way this particular bill has been drafted, it goes against the elementary ethos of our criminal jurisprudence, which says you are presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. That's our constitutional mandate. Now, what happens now is now you are giving powers to investigating agencies who can now be used as an instrument to topple an elected government or an elected representative of the state. And we all know how agencies function. So far as the police is concerned, it's a state subject. It comes under the concerned state government. If you talk about central agencies, they work under the control of the central government. But allow me to give you another logical reason why. If you look at the threshold of the offense that they have picked 5 years. If you again look at the judgments on our criminal jurisprudence, 7 years and below 7 years are the offenses which are considered to be less heinous. There
Serious.
are
Okay,
special
yeah.
provisions. There are judgments that says if someone is accused for an offense which is punishable up to 7 years, he cannot be arrested unless you have given him a notice which earlier used to be 41A CRPC. Now, under the new act, that is 35 BNSS. Why the court has said that?
Okay.
The essential reason why the court says is that because if the offense is punishable with less than 7 years of imprisonment, it is generally considered not very heinous. Now, imagine a
Okay,
situation
since
like
you've
this. Let me
specifically
give you
named,
now.
okay,
Let me give you another perspective. My good friend made Arvind Kejriwal's example, who was arrested in ED's case. Let me give you how ED functions, and he would, agree with me. Now, insofar as our constitutional and criminal jurisprudence on PMLA, now there is a judgment that says that the accused who is arrested, he will not be given a copy of the ECIR, and until and unless he shows to the court that he is not guilty or he has not committed that offense, he will not be granted bail. Now, imagine a situation: ED goes, picks up an
but
elected
hasn't that been
representative.
modified to an extent by the Supreme Court?
No, not yet.
Those
Not yet.
stringent,
Not
the
yet. No.
stringent sections. But I have to keep this ball rolling, and I want to bring in points. And Jay, process is the punishment is the point that's repeatedly being
I'll
made.
respond.
So the
I'll respond
accused
very
will be in
quickly.
jail for 30 days
Yes.
plus, will lose being chief minister or minister, and timing is very critical. If at a critical time the chief minister is not in office, even if he or she comes back later, the case is lost.
You make an excellent point, but I'll respond very quickly. What my friend is saying is not accurate at all. The amendment does not say that there has to be conviction or acquittal. It only talks about incarceration because that person is then said
That's
to be
even more
incapacitated
dangerous.
from office.
That's
Sir,
even more dangerous.
I didn't interrupt you, sir. If you don't mind, I waited my turn. If you don't
That's
mind,
even more
hear me
dangerous.
out. Hear me out. You can respond to whatever I'm saying. Then once you've heard me out, it is not even more dangerous. The same service conditions apply also to bureaucrats. Let's also not forget that. I do not want a chief minister or a minister, or for that matter, even a prime minister, who is sitting inside prison and then insists on creating a morass in government that nothing moves, that everything stops. Why? Because his ego will not prevent, his or her ego will prevent them from signing or handing over authority to somebody else, as we saw in the case of Kejriwal, which is why I took that example. Atishi Marlina, I can never forget that visual, had put an empty chair next to her and said, "Yahan pe Kejriwal ji hi baithenge," and she sat next to him like a puppet chief minister. I don't want that situation. And more importantly, Gaurav, one very important point which everybody has missed. Being democratically elected does not grant immunity to any person to go and commit a crime. I'm shocked that my friend says that there should be a threshold of 7 and above, and 7 and less is not heinous enough. Do I want a person who's charged with corruption or charged with money laundering? Absolutely not. According to me, that is equally heinous or even more heinous than other offenses, if you ask me. I
Sir,
want a
then should
person with
this
purity.
Gaurav, can I just
I
come
want
in
a
for 10
person with
seconds?
purity. Constitutional morality demands that a person in public office
Deshratan Nagam,
holds
before
public trust.
okay,
We don't
Deshratan
want
Nagam,
unclean people
I want
holding
you to
office.
come in. I want you to come in before I bring in Syed Zafar Islam and Mr. Karyal. The point is, Deshratan Nigam, while you say a person, for if he's in jail, he or she for more than 30 days, automatically debarred for that period from holding office. When you get bail, you come back and you're in office again. One, the timing. Two, the process becomes the punishment for an individual. Isn't this draconian? Because you should be innocent until proven guilty. You may get, bail from a superior court, but in all of that, you've lost out. The people have lost out electing a person to high office. You're on mute, sir.
Gaurav, in fact, the timing issue that people are talking about, timing of the bill, this has been referred to JPC. So that issue is nullified now. This will be, discussed, and all the members of the Raj Sabha and the Lok Sabha who are members will discuss this, and all the parties will have their, eminent people discussing it. So timing is no more relevant now. Secondly, process becoming punishment. Who stops anybody who is arrested to move a bail application on the first day itself?
But until he has a copy of the FIR, until he has legal documents, how can he move bail, sir?
See, they have to be provided with. They have to be provided with this. These are the facts and the issues that need to be discussed. Nobody prevents anybody to, go to the court right on the first day, second day, third day, and utilize the process right up to the Supreme Court so that 30 days period does not lapse. So these are the, checks and balances which are already available itself in this. We have to see what are the rules and which will be framed therein.
Okay.
Particularly with respect to
Gaurav,
that.
just on that point, can I just add one thing? Anticipatory bail, the moment you have an anticipation, you anticipate
Okay.
some sort of incarceration, you can move for bail.
That
Okay.
itself is, I was coming to that point, was that anticipatory bail is always available to you, that if you think police is going to take an action, you file an anticipatory bail, notice is issued to the police. Police has to come forward and tell, is there any case against this person? If it is not, he cannot be arrested.
Arshdeep Kadyal wants to come in and respond on that aspect. And you must, sir, because if the government says that their aim
Can I also come
is,
in? One minute. 1 second.
Okay.
Can,
1 second.
Okay,
let me
sir, you want to
finish.
quickly complete? Okay,
See,
Mr. Karyal, just give me 30 seconds for Mr. Nigam to complete his
Gaurav,
point.
can I
See
Yes, sir,
the fact
immediately after
remains.
that.
See, the fact remains, being a political analyst as well, this is the only government which has brought its entire cabinet, including Prime Minister, under this act. And most of the chief ministers in the India are also BJP. They have brought them also within the net. So this cannot be discriminatory if the existing governments are bringing themselves in. And you have the judicial process, as was pointed out others. You can always have the judicial process. And another point,
Okay.
misuse. If a possible misuse is the issue, then I don't think any act in this country can survive. Every act
Fair
in this
enough.
country, the Dowry Act or IPC in the past have been misused. For that, you have the judiciary to take care of.
I want to bring in Mr. Kadyal to respond to this because the government reasoning is that the character and conduct of ministers should be beyond any ray of suspicion. A minister in custody, government says, may thwart constitutional morality, good governance, and diminish public trust. So is that logic flawed? And if you have a problem, go to courts and get bail, is the point that the government seems to be making, sir.
Please, Gaurav, I did not interrupt anyone. I hope I'll not be interrupted. And in case I am, the person would be muted. Number one, sir. See, I'll give you an example. Let's say a person has been removed from the office. After that, during investigation, he's found innocent. What then? Let's say a person has been removed from the office and later on he's acquitted. In this scenario, in this case, they would have punished an innocent person. And you would have heard the famous saying, you can let 100 guilty person off the hook, but not a single innocent should be punished. What of that? And number three, the gentleman saying that the Prime Minister is also under the ambit of it, the union ministers are also under the ambit of it. Give me one example wherein any member, any leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party has even a single ED case pending. Give me one example. There is none. And 95% of the opposition parties have been targeted. Talk of M.K. Stalin, Sharad Pawar, Charanjit Channiji, Abhishek Banerjee, talk of all the political parties that are in the opposition. All of them have been targeted. The reason as to why we have judiciary is because there is
Can I
challan that
come
is
in, Gaurav,
presented,
please?
charges framed,
The moment he
evidence
completes,
done,
I'm coming to
arguments
you, sir.
done. Then, see, first challan is presented, charges are framed, evidence is done, arguments are done. Then a conclusion is reached upon by the judiciary, by the court. Who is the Bharatiya Janata Party to decide who is guilty and who's not? And how can you step into
However,
the place of the judiciary?
bail
It is not for them to
is not when
decide.
the case ends, sir. I mean, you know law. Bail is granted can be granted much earlier. However, the
One
point
second.
that you
Is it a
raised,
given? There are many. I'll give you one more example. There are
okay,
many
one by
stringent
one,
sections.
one
Just
by one.
one last
The
point. One
point that
last
you
point.
raise is very
There are many
critical, and I want Syed
there are
Zafar
many
Islam to
stringent
respond.
sections wherein bail is very hard to get. Bail is very difficult to
Absolutely.
get.
Point,
And
point
Gaurav,
well
I have not
taken. So
interrupted. Let
Syed
him
Zafar,
just.
absolutely, and listen to you. But Syed Zafar Islam, take my question. Abhishek Manu Singhvi argues this is the best way to destabilize opposition governments and unleash what he terms are biased central agencies, whether it's the Enforcement Directorate, the CBI, or Income Tax Department. The point that Mr. Kadyal raises, also raised, saying no ruling party chief minister or leader is touched. It's aimed to take down the opposition, sir.
give me one BJP leader who has an ED
So
case
this
pending.
is what
Okay,
he's
Syed
making a
Zafar Islam.
statement. Please do not speak in between. When you expect other people not to speak, you should not interrupt as well.
Learning from
Having
you.
said
sir.
that, let me tell you, Gaurav, first of all, that ask a common man on the street whether they want a government to be run by somebody who is behind the bar, who is sitting in jail, in the prison. It is, all of them are lawyers except me on the panel, me and you. But tell me, what was the observation of the Supreme Court when it comes to Kejriwal? The Supreme Court observed there is a vacuum because there is no such law exists where he can be forced to resign. And he continued to serve as a chief minister despite being inside the prison. So I think it is important, had Kejriwal resigned at that time, perhaps today this bill wouldn't have been introduced. But people expect. Delhi was suffering because the chief minister still continues to be chief minister despite being in the prison. That situation should not arise because the people are there to serve, not to serve their own interests, serve the people. And that is why it is important to introduce this
BJP
bill,
has
because
maximum elected
Supreme Court has
leaders with
also observed
criminal
that there was a
cases.
vacuum
You're
of this
talking
such
about
reform.
keeping
Okay,
criminals
one by
as
one, sir.
Please do not
Let
speak
let
in
Mr.
between.
Let Syed
Now I
Zafar
will
Islam
not let
complete
you
his
speak,
point, sir.
Kajriwal.
Sir, Mr. Kadyal,
No,
let
I
him
will not
complete.
let you
I'll come
speak.
to you.
If you will speak like this, interrupt me time and again, I'll.
You kept on interrupting
So
me
a
when I was
second
speaking.
thing, see, there are many many people within the government as well as within the in the opposition who have went through experience such thing. Like for instance, the Honourable Home Minister himself, and he made a statement inside the Parliament, on the floor of the Parliament, that when he was summoned at that time he resigned, and he didn't assume any constitutional position till he was absolutely free from legally. Though the second example I said about the Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren.
Sure,
He resigned
that
when he
point you've
went to the
made.
jail.
But there
Even
are
Lalu
several
Prasad
leaders
Yadav resigned.
who've been let
But
off,
who was
who were
trying, no, no, no,
subsequently
who was
found
trying to protect
innocent.
Lalu Yadav? It is Congress party. When the Rahul Gandhi had torn this ordinance, and today Rahul Gandhi is sitting on the lap of
Please do not give
Lalu
us
Prasad,
lectures.
who is a
One
convicted
question.
man, and
As per
is making this
NTR,
kind of a statement.
BJP has maximum
Okay.
criminal cases pending against
Okay,
their
but
elected
let
leaders
me for a
as per
moment bring in,
Association of Democratic
let me for a
It is
moment
good for
bring in,
cleaning the
bring in
politics.
Kapil Madan, only Kapil
If you
Madan
want
for a moment.
politics to
Yeah,
be
Kapil
clean,
Madan and
let it
Jayanant
happen.
Dehadra in just a moment, because both of you must
Yeah.
come in on the legal aspect of it.
Right,
Kapil,
right.
is there merit in the government or the BJP saying it's corruption or backing corruption that leads to the opposition opposing a bill, calling it draconian? Because why would anybody want a chief minister or a minister operating from inside prison? Won't it lead to not just a
Gaurav,
governance, but an ethical crisis too, sir?
Gaurav, let me, again say it's not about the intention. It's more about using this as a tool, as an instrument of oppression. And let me give you a very practical example. We saw Brij
No,
Bhushan
but
Singh, who was
so
facing.
you're saying it's
Hold
not
on,
no,
hold
no, no,
on.
hold on.
I am giving
But
up. I'm giving you a
on the
very
ethical
logical.
aspect, on the ethical
yes,
aspect.
Yes, I am giving you a legal answer. Now imagine a neta from the BJP who is facing an FIR. However, he exerts his influence and he is not arrested. Now, well, in that
What is he
situation, just
saying?
because he is not being arrested, can you, give him the benefit? Because technically he is not arrested, so then he is not supposed to resign. Now, imagine a situation where another person who is facing the same offense, which will
Okay.
have the same imprisonment, but there is an exertion of pressure and he gets arrested. Now, is it not a tool at the hands of the executive to use this to to wreckage vendetta on the opposition? Can there be any
Fair point.
logical explanation? Can there be any logical
Fair
explanation?
point.
That's point number one.
Jayanand
Now, point
Dehadra
number
wants to
two.
respond.
I'll respond very quickly, and I'll tell
Okay,
you why these
let's take it point
arguments.
by point so that the viewers
Yes.
can also, stay abreast with the arguments that are being presented by both sides. And I must say, very powerful arguments coming from both sides on this debate. So the fear that India will become a police state. It's a police
Yes.
officer, police, ED, income tax department. They will decide which minister serves, which chief minister serves, who goes to jail, maybe at the directions of the prime minister, or become a super prime minister, sir.
No, Gaurav, you raise excellent questions, but I think these fears are completely unfounded, and I'll tell you why. When we test the constitutionality of a law or an amendment, what do we want to see, whether it is arbitrary or not? Now, my friend from the Congress party and the gentleman who's also the lawyer, both are trying to say that, look, you're innocent until proven guilty, and this somehow basically prematurely adjudges you to be guilty. But that isn't the case at all. This has nothing to do with guilt. It is only to prevent basically governance logjam. If you have been arrested, please step aside, get bail, go to court, get it quashed, and come right back. And I have another very important point to make, which is not exactly a legal point, but a political point. And we're all political creatures here. We understand how India works. If you arrest a person, so let's assume that a person from the opposition is arrested wrongly, and it comes out later that it's some sort of a made up case, it's a bogus case, the political capital that that person will earn will be so massive. Nobody in government would want to make such a mistake. So to say very conveniently that, they'll just throw anybody away and therefore depose any chief minister or any minister, I don't think there are courts in this country. And one last thing, I take great umbrage, great offense at what my friend Kapil said, that, a person from the government may exert influence and get bail. What is he trying to say? That the judiciary in our country
I have
is some
never
Mickey
said
Mouse,
he will
is
get
some
bail.
Mickey
I am
Mouse
sorry.
judiciary
I am
that
sorry,
you
Mr.
can
Dihadre.
influence somebody
Mr.
and you
Dihadre,
can
you
get
didn't
bail
hear
from
me.
somebody.
Mr.
That is
Dihadre,
exactly what he
Okay.
said. He said you can
Mr.
exert
Dihadre.
influence.
No,
Some people
Mr.
may exert
Dihadre.
influence
No.
and
Now
get bail.
allow
Okay.
me.
What is he
Allow.
trying to say? That
No.
the
Okay.
judiciary is not
Yes.
impartial in this
Allow me.
country?
Yes.
We
Kapil
have the
wants to come
finest
in.
judiciary,
So,
finest
yeah.
judges in this
No,
country
I
that
am so
uphold the
sorry.
rule of law. So when
I
it
am
doesn't
sorry,
suit
Mr.
them,
Dihadre.
and
I think
and
Mr.
I'm
Dihadre
sorry,
didn't hear.
there are multiple illustrations and examples that are in front of all of us. One can be a neutral observer and see that many people from the opposition, we've seen UPA 1, we've seen UPA 2, massive examples of corruption that have taken place, and now those
Okay.
individuals, for that very reason, are sitting in opposition today. So to
Okay,
say
Kapil wants
that
to
there
come
is
in
no
to
corruption
clarify a
there and so
point.
on.
Yes,
Kapil wants to
allow me to make.
clarify a point
I
on
think
delay,
Mr.
arrest, avoid arrest. Okay, go on, sir.
No, so let me tell you, it is what I said very clearly, and I think Mr. Dihadre has not heard me at the first instance. I will just repeat myself. I said that the police will act under the executive, so therefore, the executive may exert pressure on the police when to arrest, when not to arrest. I have never used the
Well,
word court,
then the
and
judiciary is sitting there
hold
to
on,
see
hold on,
if
hold
arrest
on,
procedures
hold
have
on.
not been
Hold on, Mr.
adhered to.
Dihadre. I never
You're still
interrupted.
casting,
I never
sir. You're
I
casting
do get your
aspersions on the
anxiety.
judiciary, and
I
I
do
find
get
that
your anxiety,
unacceptable.
Mr. Dihadre. Mr.
That's
Dihadre, I do get
unacceptable,
your
sir.
anxiety. I do get you
I
want
have
to
no. Why should I have any
evade
anxiety?
you.
Okay.
Insofar
I'm
as I am
sorry.
I
It
want to
concerned,
looks
bring in
like you're
Deshrattan
insofar as
acting.
I'm
Nigam.
It
concerned
looks
as a
like
I
you're
want
criminal
to
lawyer,
bring
acting.
I
in
have a very
That's
good
Deshrattan
the
Nigam.
record
why.
of getting
Kapil
That's
Madan,
the
dismissed for a
that
why
lot
point
of
has
you're
time.
trying to
adequately
say
been
So
that
I'm
there
addressed.
are
not
not
I want to
mentioning the
bring
objections.
in
least, sir.
Deshrattan Nigam and only
So
Deshrattan Nigam
let's
for a
let's
moment so that we
control our
can
anxiety.
move on. There are so many points that we must discuss and times at a premium. Deshrattan Nigam, data indicates between 2014 and 22, there was a fourfold increase in Enforcement Directorate cases against political leaders, 95% from the opposition. Of these are 19 ministers during their tenure, 19 arrests made, conviction rate for ED less than 1% is a point that the opposition brings out, sir. So again, process becomes the punishment for those who are arrested and sent behind bars?
Well, Gaurav, in fact, if one talks about process becoming punishment, this requires judicial reforms. The most of the delays are at the end of the judiciary. They take huge amount of time, and that is where we have that issue. That is not a this thing rocket science, and we need to address those issues. Judiciary must speed up these cases, may set up fast track courts for these, because where these important members, parliament members, or senior bureaucrats are there, and these cases have to be speeded up. So far, second issue is concerned that India is becoming a police state. Let me tell you, these are democratically elected people through parliament who are making laws.
Okay.
This is not a police state. This is a parliament which is making these laws. And these constitutionality and the wires of these acts are challenged in a court of law. So it cannot be a police state under any circumstances. Yes, if police is doing something wrong through its processes, you can challenge them. There are policemen who have been punished also. There have been custodial deaths where police have been punished. And
Okay.
also in huge number of cases, you will see courts have come down very heavily on police agencies if they have been misused. So
But
trust our
Syed Zafar
agencies.
Islam, PMLA cases, conviction rate, less than 10%. In fact, it took the Honorable Chief Justice of India, CJI Gawai, to call out the Enforcement Directorate and say words to the effect, ED is successful only in incarcerating people for years without securing conviction. So will this process not kill political careers, sir?
See, there are two things. First of all of us need to understand that it is only the criminals are going to be arrested, not anybody who has not committed crime. So if somebody has committed crime, he needs to be overly concerned about it. But people who have not committed crime or do not
Sir, but
intend to
courts
commit
decide
crime are the ones
criminals.
who need not worry about it. No, I'm saying that it is for the court to decide. As far as the conviction rate is concerned, it is not for the Bharatiya Janata Party, for the government, or for that matter, any individual or any party has to decide. It is the court which convicts or gives relief. It is not for me to make any statement or
Then why
make
make
any
this
observation, because at the end of the day, every department is an independent department. It is an independent agencies are independent of the government, and they are pursuing based on the information and the lead they have. It is very unfair to make this kind of statement. How much conviction is there? Because conviction is not in their hand. Else they would have 99% would have been convicted. But it is for the court to decide. So neither you nor me can make any statement as far as the court process
Fair
is
enough.
concerned. It is for the judges to decide what the conviction rate should be. It is not for us or
Fair
for
enough.
the matter,
Respond,
for the matter of
Mr.
ED or the
Karyal, before I
agencies or
bring
the
in Jayanand
government.
Dadra
But
also.
let me tell you,
Okay.
the people of India are happy. People of India will be extremely happy with this law, because once it becomes law, after whatever amendment or changes to be made by the JPC, but people of India will welcome, because they feel that they are ordinary citizens, but the politicians are not. But with this introduction of this legislation, perhaps every Indian will feel that they are at par with rest of the people,
Okay.
whether they are politicians, ministers, or for that matter, Prime Minister or anyone else.
Fair enough.
So I think the Honorable Prime
Okay,
Minister has
Mr.
said
Karyal,
very
Mr.
clearly
Karyal,
that there should
the
be
point
cleansing
that
everywhere,
BJP MP
it
and
is
Chairman
happening
Bar
here.
Council of India Manan Mishra was making is that it's important to remove those who've been in jail for 30 days plus as an under trial, so that their ministerial work does not get impacted. Should they get bail on the beyond the 31st day, they can come back and resume work. Why oppose something that's been brought to have Swachh Bharat in politics?
I've already answered that question, Gaurav, when I told you that, let's say a person has been removed from the office and subsequently he's found innocent during investigation. You would have punished an innocent person. Or if he's
Sir,
acquitted, you
I'm
would have punished
sorry.
an
My
innocent person.
question is not conviction, secure bail. The moment he secures bail, he resumes office. It's
One
not
second.
that long
Answer your
process
question.
all the way. No. That's
Understood.
why I said, hear me out
Understood.
first.
I'll
My
answer this
question is
question.
on bail. The moment he gets bail, he can resume work.
Now I'll
Let
give
the
you a
public
couple of
not
examples.
suffer.
I'll give an example. Number one, you talked of bail. I can give you more than a dozen sections where it's very difficult to obtain bail. It takes time. There are measures put in those sections which ensures that a time is taken. And then what of the police remand that is needed? So many days goes into that. Then you have to ensure that your case is drafted, it is filed, you engage a lawyer. It's a big process. 30 days is
So
nothing.
does
And
that
number
mean
three,
if anybody is accused of corruption, he will never go
one
to
second.
jail?
The
Some
question is,
minister,
one second.
even if he goes
The
to jail, he
question-
should remain a minister.
The question is, who will decide he's a criminal or he's guilty or
Courts
he's
of
innocent?
law.
It is for the court to decide. How will the Bharatiya Janata Party come into the picture?
But-
How will the Bharatiya Janata Party decide this?
No, I
They
want to
cannot.
bring in Jay
Number two,
Anand Dehadrai.
one last
No,
point,
because
one last point, please. As per
Yes.
the ADR, the Bharatiya Janata Party's elected leaders have maximum
Purely legal
criminal
point.
cases pending
No.
against them. Number two, I
So,
just want to tell one
sir,
second, please.
this case is all about bail. You secure bail, you
How?
come back to work.
One second,
The
how?
moment, Jay, am I wrong on
Gaurav,
facts here?
One
Purely
second.
you
on
are
facts.
absolutely
Purely on facts.
correct, Gaurav. This is
I'm
effectively.
purely on facts here.
May I come in, please?
Into the domain of judiciary. You cannot
Harshpreet,
assume
may
the
I-
role of
Harshpreet,
judiciary.
may I please
you
come in?
cannot assume the powers of judiciary. You cannot dictate who's a criminal and who's not. There's a
Can I come in
procedure
very
put into
quickly?
But
place.
courts will
There's
decide who's a
process
criminal
put
or
into
not.
place for that.
Unless you're saying a politician should never be arrested. Whatever is the
We are
allegation
saying-
against a politician, never arrest him.
But should we not have a
Gaurav,
principle
Is
that
that
Gaurav,
the
you're
case?
absolutely
Is that-
correct.
one
And let
second.
Is
me
that
let
the
me
case? No,
explain
but I
why.
want to bring in Jayanant
Would we follow
Dehadrai on
the
another
principle of
point.
natural justice?
The last
Or would
1
we
minute
follow
that I
the
have on this
principle
part of the
Bharatiya
show,
Janata Party?
I simply
One
want to ask
question.
one question.
Would we
This
follow
would
the
this not
principle of
require
natural
Jay? Would this not require 2/3 majority?
Yes.
It's a constitutional amendment bill. Does the BJP or the NDA have numbers, 2/3 majority in Parliament? If they do, which means the opposition will have to support them. If they don't, which means what is this chaos all about?
No, you're absolutely right. This will have to be tested on the floor of the House, Gaurav. I agree with you. In fact, you make another very good point. This entire fear that this is going to lead to removal, this is unfounded. This is effectively a suspension. You're removed if for beyond 30 days, if you remain incarcerated, step aside so that government can continue to function efficiently. That's all it is. And by the way, disqualification, we're all forgetting, disqualification, in fact, is already contained in another statute. Why are we forgetting that the
Yes.
People's Representation Act, Section 8, already contains a provision where a person, a member of parliament, is effectively disqualified the moment a conviction comes in. So this is only a suspension. Nomenclature perhaps could have been different. This is very good. This allows governance to go on smoothly. And I think I quite agree with the gentleman from the BJP. He's right. Would a common person in India want a person who has been charged with a serious criminal offense to continue to remain in jail, incarcerated, and have governance suffer? I don't think that's quite right. So
I'll leave our viewers with that question. We don't weigh in on either side. As I slip into a break, I want to thank all my guests for being a part of this show. But can a person who's been sent to jail, can a chief minister or a minister continue to function beyond 30 days without bail? That's a question that our viewers have to grapple with. You get bail, come out and govern again. But in jail, at least let governance happen. You decide who's right and who isn't.